What's up everybody, Matt Magn here with Dimension Cars, and today I'm going to be showing you this 2017 Lincoln MKZ. This is a luxury sedan based off the Ford Fusion. It's got a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine which has EcoBoost. So it's pretty zippy, but not as fast as the 3-liter V6. So without any further delays, let's take it for a ride. Cue the intro. Hey, if you want to see me review more cool cars like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and also hit that like button if you like what you see. Now this review is for you if you're looking for a luxury sedan and this says hit your list. This is a mid-size. Some of its competitors are the Kia Cadenza, the Audi A4, and in voiceover I'll tell you some of the other ones. Some other competitors in this mid-size luxury sedan segment include the Acura TLX, Cadillac ATS, Infiniti Q50, and the Lexus ES350. I'm going to show you the interior, talk about the features, how it feels, the seats, the cargo space, all that stuff. And then I'm going to tell you about the exterior, some of the changes they've done, a little bit of the design details, and then I'm going to tell you about how it feels to drive, all the performance and all that stuff. So first thing, we'll talk about the steering wheel. It feels really good in your hands. It's a soft leather, nice soft to the touch. It's got some cool stitching. It really is a high quality steering wheel. About average size, perfect size really to hold when you're steering. The 9 and 3 is probably the most comfortable position on this wheel. There's some small 10 and 3 notches and they feel pretty good as well. You can just feel your hands over the steering wheel and it just feels like nice and soft, smooth, but also has a decent grip. Also on the steering wheel you have your normal cruise controls, radio, Bluetooth, all that stuff. Overall, it's a pretty good steering wheel. I've really got nothing to complain about. It looks good too. You got the nice Lincoln logo in the middle. The stitching really sets it apart. It's really here to remind you that you are in a luxury vehicle. It's not just some plastic steering wheel. And you also got the blinker and windshield wiper controls. I believe these are Lincoln made. Very high quality, very firm, a nice matte gray finish with black and chrome plastic pieces. Very, very high quality on that. Now let's move on to the gauges. So the gauges in this thing, I also really have nothing to complain about. Very upscale. Now it's not purely digital. It's got some analog and digital components to it. It's a nice white, bold font, very easy to read. The lights on the speedometer and the tachometer reflect what drive mode you're in. So you got the comfort mode, which is blue. And then if I turn into sport mode here by pressing the S, there we go, you can see it turns red. It turns to a nice red-orange color, and that lets you know it's ready for action. I'm just going to put it in drive because I'm just doing a nice relaxing drive. The gauges are really nice all together. They have all the information you need. You got the oil temperature, got your fuel, you got miles till empty. That's always a nice feature. You also got a digital speedometer and your temperature of the outdoors. Other than that, you have some more settings that you can go through on your dashboard here. You got fuel economy, you can do your trips, driver assist, settings. Now the settings, you can do a little bit there. You can customize, there's some things like easy entry and exit, auto engine off, at stoplights to save fuel. It looks like that's on. You also have the lighting controls, oil life, remote start, mirror locks. Just some basic settings there. You can decide how it handles in drive and sport. I would leave it as it is because in drive, the vehicle drives normal and comfortable and soft and relaxed and stuff. And in sport mode, it's going to be a little more firmed up, more aggressive shifts and stuff like that. Overall, nice to look at dashboard that you're not gonna get sick of looking at it every day. It's not boring. Nice confluence of analog and digital. Moving on to the climate controls. Now this is another nice area of the car. The knobs all have a good resistance to them. And it might be a little bit busy. There's a bunch of buttons there, but if you look at them carefully, you know exactly what everything does. Just maybe appearance wise, there's just a lot going on. But you know, a lot of people do prefer to have actual knobs and buttons to press. Some people don't like the touch sensitive stuff, so I am one of those people. I do like to be able to actually turn a knob. Tune knob is nice, volume as well. Other than that, the buttons are nice, high quality plastic. When you press them, it has a nice solid feel to it. You know, while we're in this area, let's talk about the shifter. Okay, so there's no standard traditional shifter in this car. Of course, it's an automatic transmission, so you're not going to have a stick, but really, to change gears, put it in park, reverse, neutral, drive, and sport mode, there's just some buttons on the left of the radio here. Pretty easy to figure out. It's just a little different. I personally am kind of neutral with it. Like, I'm not really thrilled about it, but I'm not really angry about it either. If you like to press buttons instead of shifting the gear, if this is more comfortable for you, or if it feels high-tech, then this is something that you'll appreciate. Feels pretty good. Now I'm in comfort mode, but I just accelerated a little bit onto this little highway here, and it has a nice pull to it, but we're going to get more to that later. You got some other controls here on the right side of your radio: traction control, auto hold, hazard lights. And let's just talk about the radio itself. It's a pretty good touchscreen radio, as nice as any other modern car out there. It's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Couldn't figure out how to get the massage seats to work, so I don't believe this trim level has the massage seats. It's got all the basic stuff, and of course you got heated seats as well. Sitting in this seat, I will say it's a pretty comfortable place to be. The bolstering is pretty nice, a little more bolstering than I expect with the luxury vehicle like this, but it holds you in nice and snug on the corners, but it's not squeezing me too hard either. Also on the seat, you got power controls. So you can move it forwards and backwards, up and down, recline, and you can also use the other switch to adjust your lumbar support. It's exactly what I'd expect from a luxury car like this. And also the leather on these is pretty soft, pretty comfortable. Drove this a little bit today and I never got uncomfortable, so these seats are overall really good. They're not the best I've ever sat in, but they're pretty good. Other places that you'll be concerned about: you have the center console here. It's got a nice soft leather touch to it, and it's a pretty good place to rest your elbow. It's not cutting off the circulation or anything. And on the door, the armrest there, that's also the same thing. You know, everything in this car, you look everywhere, everything is a pretty high quality. You know, look in front of you on the dashboard, on the doors, you know, there's nothing that's just one solid piece of plastic or one color. It's a nice place to look at. You got different shades of gray, like a nice dark wood looking trim, silver, bunch of different color plastics. You know, of course, the radio area and your dashboard, everything just blends together really nice. Leather is a nice tan color, nothing to complain about there. Other things we do have some average size cup holders and a little slot where you probably just want to put the key. And when we open up the center console here, you'll see that it's got an average amount of space. It's not too shallow. It's not the deepest one I've ever seen. It's pretty average. The glove box is also pretty standard size. Nothing to complain about. Nothing to write home about either. In the doors, you got a little bottle holder, map pocket there. You can probably put a couple bottles actually in there. And let's move on to the back seat. It's not impressive with how much space you have. It's not actually as much legroom as I thought. With the driver's seat most of the way back, there's really like hardly any room back there. It's not really spacious. So as you know, this car looks pretty big on the outside, but inside it's not too spacious. Sitting in here driving, I will say that the seat goes back really far. So if you're a tall person, you know, even up to 6'5", I think you're gonna be able to drive this comfortably. On the flip side, there's not too much headroom in here. Like, I'm not super tall when I sit down, and I don't have the seat all the way up. Let me just lower the seat for you quick. So I have the seat all the way down, and that gives me about, 4 inches of headroom. The moonroof adds a couple inches of space, but really I don't like sitting down this low because I'm not that tall when I sit down. So if you raise the seat up a little bit to like a comfortable spot, you only got a couple inches of headroom. And that also goes hand in hand with the visibility. So the front visibility in this car is not too impressive. I feel kind of limited. Front visibility, you really have a limited field of view. It's not too much height here in the windshield. I think it looks pretty cool from the outside, but from the inside, it feels like you're in a small space looking out. So if you're like a really big person, you might have leg room, but you're not going to have any headroom. So of course, it's a little bit hard to see out the front. And looking out the sides, it's a little bit hard to see your blind spot because the B-pillars are pretty thick and placed right behind your neck. And then looking out the back, the C-pillars aren't too bad. The back visibility is okay. What makes up for that is the fact that you have a two-piece mirror. So that helps you see your blind spot a little better. Side mirrors are really what saves you. So overall, the visibility in this car is, pretty average. But it's definitely the front visibility, and the headroom is one thing to look out for, especially if you're tall. If your head's like this, it's like you're looking through a little mail slot. It's not ideal. For cargo space, we're working with 15.4 cubic feet. Now that's not great, but it's hanging right in there with the competitors. What does help is that the seats fold down. Overall, the interior is a pretty good quality, but that's exactly what I expected. For the exterior, it's nice. The grille is a one-piece unit now. It's a nice chrome grille that really stands out. Very nice looking grille. The exterior is a nice shiny metallic white that really pops. And as you can see around the outside, there's some chrome accents, and there's not really any ugly plastic. And the back, I've always liked the taillights on these MKZs. The taillight is a nice solid piece. Alright, moving on to the driving portion of the MKZ. So the first thing I'm going to comment, now keep this in mind throughout the whole review, the point of this car is to be a luxury sedan. It's not trying to be a sports car. That being said, it has some get up and go if you're trying to pass on the freeway, but I would not expect to see one of these at the track. The first thing you notice when you're going on, a road like the one I'm on is that the suspension is really, really soft and forgiving. It's one of the better suspensions that I've ever been in. Going over bumps and you hear it, but you don't feel it on your body. It really glides gracefully over the bumps. And even when you kind of turn the wheel like this, it's not too jerky. It still feels a little bit smooth. Accelerates pretty good, even in comfort. It's no rocket ship by any means. If you've ever driven an EcoBoost, Ford Fusion, or maybe a Ford Focus ST, it's got the same engine as those. Commenting on the sound in here, the sound deadening materials in this car are not as good as I thought, not as good as I expected. I would say they're okay, but just driving, 60 miles an hour on this highway here, I just hear a little bit more road noise, wind noise, the bumps, everything. I just hear a little bit more of it than I expected. It's not terrible. I put it right in line with an average sedan. Cruising along on the highway, besides the sound factor, it really gives off a relaxed vibe when you're driving. This thing wants you to sit back and relax, maybe have one hand on the wheel, just hang out, Everything's soft that you touch. You're sitting in a nice, comfortable seat. It doesn't feel like you're super low to the ground like in a go-kart or anything. The steering is nice and smooth at the highway speeds. You push on the wheel a little bit, it doesn't jerk too much. This is really what I think the vehicle is for, to cruise around in comfort and style. The throttle response is alright. I mean, if you push your foot down on the pedal, it does have a turbo, so it's going to lag just a moment. Push your foot on the pedal, wait a moment, and then there it goes. That's the nature of a turbo, You're 60, you want to go 70, you put your foot down. Now I'm going 70, so it just takes a couple seconds to kick in at this speed. A little bit of turbo lag, but it doesn't bother me. It's actually a little bit fun. It builds up the suspense, a little bit of a theater to it, But yeah, just cruising along here in comfort mode. I feel pretty good. 2 hands on the wheel is nice. 1 hand on the wheel also works pretty good. Now this is the 2-liter EcoBoost version, and it's pretty zippy. It's got 245 horsepower, 5 more horsepower than the 2016 model year. Brakes on this feel pretty good. They feel like new brakes. Very touch sensitive. You just put your foot on the brake a little bit and it does its job. It feels pretty solid on the highway. Like, take my hands off the wheel. It doesn't change direction too much. Stays pretty straight. So I'm just gonna let you know this is a 6-speed automatic transmission. And I say the shifts are pretty good. It shifts right on cue. So I'm happy with that. And like I said before, whether or not you like the automatic transmission buttons that let you shift, that's all a personal opinion. personal preference. I personally am okay with it. I'd prefer a manual car as long as I can get one. But if I have to have an automatic, I prefer just having a regular shifter. I don't like what BMW does or Chrysler. I don't like the Chrysler 200C. I don't like the BMW shifter. I'm a big fan just a regular shifter. It's like reinventing the wheel, I think. Even here they're trying to reinvent the wheel a little bit. But at least it's not confusing. You just press a button. But then again, if someone's playing with the radio, they might slip, press on the reverse button. I don't know what's going to happen. You have a passenger that's a little bit irresponsible or hyper or anything, just tell them to keep their hands off the radio. For those of you that are safety oriented, which I think most of us care about safety, this got a 5 out of 5 stars in the crash test safety. So it's a pretty safe vehicle. That makes you feel a little bit better about driving a sedan. A lot of people these days, they're moving on to SUVs, a little bit bigger, commanding view of the road, maybe a little bit safer in a crash, as long as it's not an old SUV that's prone to rollover. Let me take my glasses off. It's getting a little dark out here. So let's just talk about the engine. So this is an EcoBoost engine. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine. And this one is a front-wheel drive, but you can get these in all-wheel drive as well as the 3-liter V6. Now that has a bit more horsepower. I'll put the horsepower number right here in front of my face. And yeah, besides that, this thing does have, actually it's a little bit cold in here. The AC works really good. And while we're talking about that stuff for a moment, the radio is also pretty good too. Got a lot of speakers in here, premium sound system. So still talking about the engine. Now this is rated to get 21 in the city, 31 on the highway, which is really good for a sedan with 245 horsepower. That's one thing I can't complain about. Get a nice luxury vehicle that's pretty quick, that could get over 30 miles per gallon. That's a good bargain. So if this car is like a commuter car for you, it's a good package if you get 20 to 30 miles per gallon on your commute. It's a good deal, and it's pretty quick. You've got all the passing power you need, really. So if you're getting one of these used, you're probably not someone that's looking to spend a ton of money, but you still want a car that has a nice badge to it, some luxury. Most people know it's a Ford, but they do make these with nice quality interiors and exterior. Lincolns always look pretty good on both the outside and the inside. Even back in the day, Lincolns were pretty nice. You should drive a Lincoln Navigator every once in a while, and that had nice leather there, really cool exterior, had all the bells and whistles back then. That one had a VHS player and a fold-down TV in 1999. So that and the Escalade, those were the cool SUVs back then. But yeah, talk about a good package. It's a good commuter car. You're getting good fuel efficiency. You got plenty of passing power. So the type of person that would use this, if you're a car enthusiast and you buy this, it's probably not your race car. It's probably your daily driver, which, it's a solid pick for a daily driver. And even in places where it snows, the front wheel drive is, it's all right. It's not going to fail you in an average snowy day. And of course, if you want to be really safe, you get the all-wheel drive. The MSRP of this one was probably somewhere around $35,000. Also, another benefit of this car, you're already getting a good fuel efficiency. It also lets you put regular gas in there, so it's not asking to put premium. That's always really good. Saving money at the pump, and you don't have to go there as often. Let's talk about its handling on a road where you actually turn. How about that? So I'm going to take some corners here. I'm going to put it in sport mode, and I'll just let you know what it feels like on these corners. Pretty tight corners that I like to take. Yeah, okay. Handles all right. There's a little bit of body roll. It handles the corners, even in sport mode. In sport mode it tightens it up a little bit, but it's still not really impressing me much on the corners. But like I said in the beginning, remember this is a luxury vehicle. It's not a sports car. That being said, it holds its own in the corners. It's not like an excessive amount of body roll, but the steering isn't super communicative. You don't really feel what the tires are doing super well. You're gliding through these corners in a nice smooth way. You're not extremely planted either. Like even all these bumps in this road, this thing's just soaking them up and we're just floating right over them. It's like a Buick LeSabre, but better. And it's still fun to drive on these roads like this. I'm in a luxury car that handles pretty good, but I'm not in a sports car, which is fine. In sport mode, the shifting is pretty quick. Can't complain there. The throttle response is definitely a little bit more eager when you're in sport mode. Let's take a left on this road, see where it takes us, huh? Ah, went the wrong way. Let's put it back in drive, regular drive, comfort mode, because we're just driving down a neighborhood street. We don't need to be in sport mode. Everything you touch, everything you use does feel high quality. There's no question about quality here. It holds its own in all the performance areas, handling all that. It's just not at the level where it's gonna wow me. See, when I'm in comfort mode right now, going around these tighter corners, and it feels a little bit more vague. The sport one definitely tightens it up a little bit. The comfort mode, you're floating around the corners even more. Like you got like marshmallows on your feet, and you're just kind of, you're like skating on ice with marshmallows on your feet. That's what it feels like when you're going around these corners. You're on like an air mattress in a river, and you're just floating around the corners. Ooh. Even if, if you're a passenger sleeping on your hand like this, I don't think these corners are gonna wake you up. It's gonna feel like someone's just gently rocking your bed while you're sleeping. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. All right, put in sport mode. We got some more corners coming up. We got someone in front of us. I got in sport mode now. Feeling the corner. Just a little bit of body roll. It's doing okay. All right, so let's just see how the acceleration is on this EcoBoost engine. 2-liter 4-cylinder. Yeah, we're going. Whoa. There's no torque steer. Feels pretty good. It does feel really quick. Pretty satisfying to accelerate. It's not super loud, which is all right with a luxury vehicle like this. It puts you back in your seat a little bit. The turbo feels pretty good. I would say this is a nice, properly quick car, but it gets up and going really good. As quick as this one feels, I'd really be interested in trying the 3-liter V6. It's not just a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, 2-liter. It's a turbo. It's an EcoBoost. Everyone knows about the EcoBoost. It's one of Ford's gems. The EcoBoost is a great engine. We're gonna do a rolling start. We're going like 15 miles an hour. Ready? No torque steer. Feels good. Yeah. This car is for you if you're looking for a luxury sedan that's, pretty quick, but you're not going for like a really sporty luxury sedan. It's also for you if you want it to look pretty sharp and luxurious on the outside and also be comfortable on the inside, in line with what everyone that buys a luxury car wants. You want a good amount of features, good amount of tech. It's not overboard. It doesn't have the most tech I've ever seen, but it's definitely got plenty of tech for someone with my taste. This car is also for you if you're like a businessman. You want to just drive to a sales appointment, or you're a realtor driving around a lot. You need it to be pretty fuel efficient, but also look good and be comfortable. Then this car's for you. Now, if you're a car enthusiast that likes to go to the track and stuff, don't buy this car for that. It's definitely, that's not its focus. That's not what it specializes at. This thing specializes at a nice, smooth, refined ride, has a little bit of power where it needs it, and it gets you there without sipping too much fuel. So yeah. All right, that's it for the 2017 Lincoln MKZ review. If you found this informative and enjoyed this car review, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I really appreciate it. That's it. I'm your host, Matt Magna with Dawn Dimension Cars. I hope you enjoyed this car review. We'll see you next time.